In today's video, we're going to be talking about how winning personal brands make top 1% in the entire world type of cash flow when things are set up the right way. And I would say that basically any personal brand that is set up the correct way, that maybe isn't making the cash yet or getting the views yet, is a couple tiny tweaks away from being able to make top 1% cash flow. And when I say top 1% cash flow, I'm talking about like $1 million a year type of cash flow. I truly believe basically every personal brand with a solid offer is able to do that. Okay? Now, a lot of people come to me and they're like, maybe the personal brand isn't for me. I just can't get the views to work, or the followers, or I can't get people to buy. And it's really because you don't have a cash flow system. And so we're going to talk about how to set up that system and how to fill all the gaps and figure out like what you're missing and what you actually need in this video. By the way, my name is Nick. I am the owner of Launch Socials. We make these videos to help you make more money with your social media, with your personal brand, or whatever thing you're growing on social media. I have grown over 6.5 million followers between myself and some of my top clients and collect over $13.8 million in sales using the exact strategies I cover in all of these videos. So, how do winning personal brands make top 1% cash flow? Like I said, it's cash flow systems. And really what a cash flow system is in my mind, and I talk about this if you've seen any of my other videos on the channel, it's taking a random person and turning them into money. And the steps you go through are random to follower, to fan, to lead, to a call, to a buyer, right? And then even on the back end, there's something where you turn that buyer into more cash flow through upsells, okay? That is a cash flow system. Now, every step of the way, we're going to go through some of the gaps that might be happening that you're going to need to fill in order for things to work. And a lot of this is reverse engineering the numbers. So if you aren't already tracking your views, your follower growth, the amount of leads you're getting, the amount of applications you're getting, the amount of calls you're getting, and sales metrics like show rate, offer rate, and close rate, you need to track them now, today. Every one of my clients that comes in, and once they have a foundation built, we start tracking them. From the beginning, from day one, if you come in, you're at 0 followers, day one, we put a tracking schedule in place for views and followers and cash collected, baseline. We then add all the other stuff later as we scale. Now, when it comes to views, you have to understand, like, I typically find you got to be doing at least like 100K views a day for you to have significant reach in any algorithm at all. For me to consider you as somebody that has a lot of reach and has the potential to scale big enough to make plenty of cash, and that's 20 to 100K a month at least, you need to have 100K views a day. That is the metric that I'm aiming for. So it's one platform, and it's 100K a day. Now, obviously, it's going to be nuanced. Like our YouTube channel isn't going to do 100K views a day because it's so niche, right? We'd have to put out so many videos in order to do that, and it's just a super niche channel. And so we're not going to do 100K views a day on this channel. But if you're, let's say, on IG, this channel on IG should do 100K because of the distribution mechanism. So you have to understand also the nuances of your niche, but roughly that's the metric, and you can scale down or scale up depending on how niche or how broad your brand actually is. Now, if you're not getting these views, that's an immediate gap. Like if you're like, oh, well, I don't know why I'm not getting followers or leads or calls booked or sales metrics and the whole thing, you probably aren't getting enough views. Oh, I only get 5K views a day. Okay, so that's your problem. Before we can even measure if your lead system and your application system and your sales call system is working, we got to get you more views. So views is number one. This is like number one thing that you have to do day one, because this is like the grease to the wheel. This is the thing that greases the entire system and allows the followers to come in and the leads to come in, the applications and the calls. Now, from there, we obviously want to grow followers. And in order for us to grow followers, we need a reason to follow, right? So someone needs to have a reason to follow us. So they view our stuff, they're a random person, they've never seen our stuff before, they see it, they get intrigued, they come back to our page. A couple things have to happen. The thing that they saw, the content piece that they saw in their algorithm has to be congruent, okay? We'll do, I was going to spell something else, but we'll do consistent. It has to be consistent with the rest of the content that's on your page. And additionally, there needs to be some intrigue that you're building with your brand, and there needs to be some value that they're going to be getting from following you. And that value can either be entertainment, it can be education, it could be a mix of them, but there has to be something. You can't just be a bland guy that talks there and really talks about nothing, but expect to get followers. You have to educate at a super high level and bring a lot of intrigue to these people's lives, right? Like, hey, like this is this opportunity, and they go, oh, interesting, right? And that's the biggest thing I see is like people have to be intrigued by what you're talking about, or they're probably not going to follow. The most intriguing brands convert views to followers at the highest levels, right? The highest percents. Now, if you're not getting followers from your views, you have something wrong here with the value, the intrigue, or the consistency of your content from the stuff that's going viral and the stuff that's on your page. You need to fix those things. And when it comes to leads need to be offered something. So some things that I consider leads, I consider an inbound DM lead. I consider an opt-in to a VSL a lead. I consider a webinar, sign up. I consider we'll do LT buyer, right? A low ticket buyer, opt-in to a lead magnet. These are leads. These are all, leads in my mind. And, some common mistakes are trying to do 3 of these at once. If you don't have one of them working, don't add another. So pick one and make it work. And if it's not working for you, then pick a different one. And I have a whole video on how to do lead magnets. I uploaded a couple days ago. So leads are huge, and you really just need to go all in on one of these. And this thing should be congruent with the reason somebody first viewed you and then followed you, and now they want more help from you, right? So if you're giving value or you're, intriguing and you're talking about a big opportunity, you should probably sort of sell that opportunity in the lead magnet, such as, in the webinar or the sign up to the VSL or the inbound DM or the low ticket buyer, or the opt-in to the lead magnet. The opportunity that you're talking about in your content and the reason somebody follows you should also be talked about in your lead magnet. You need to be consistent. Again, you want to have that consistency. That's actually a huge mistake. People are like, well, I don't know why people aren't opting in. And it's like, dude, you're talking about real estate in your lead magnet, but you're talking about broad financial stuff on the front end. It doesn't make any sense. People don't even know that you do real estate. So you got to talk about real estate in your content to bring those people in so you can get the lead magnet. It's obvious. It's so obvious, but a lot of people make this mistake. Like, it's super, super common. It happens a lot. It's actually quite funny. So the next one is applications, and this kind of goes hand in hand with calls. After the lead and people get nurtured, on the email list and the whole thing, we like to do applications. So we set up a type form, and people fill out the type form, and then they go to a Calendly to book a call. Like, technically, that's exactly how it happens. I find that the rate of actually booking is higher. And typically also what's going to happen here is you're going to get more applications than you are going to get calls. And then your setter team or you can follow up with all the people that applied but didn't book a call, and it just brings in more, applications in general. So it's basically like everyone that would book a call alone. Like, imagine you just had a call booking thing, let's say 20 people a month, book it. Those 20 people are also going to fill out the app, plus 10 to 20 more. So you're going to get double apps, you're going to collect extra data, and those 20 are still probably going to book that call. And so on top of it, you're getting this extra data that you can dial. If your application is not, getting submitted, I guess you could say, you're not getting a lot of them, there's not enough volume of it, either you're, one, not CTAing enough of it, or two, there's too much friction. When I say friction, you're asking too many questions, or people, start to go through it and they're like, this is too much. I'll do it later or something, and they forget about it. You want to reduce the amount of questions while still allowing the right people through. So if you're getting a bunch of the wrong people through, you want to increase the friction. If you're getting, too few people and it's only the right people, maybe you decrease the friction until a couple of the wrong people start to trickle in and they say, cool, there's my floor. That's good. That's how you do applications. something to keep in mind for both leads and applications, and I guess also calls, is CTAs are going to play a massive role here. And something that we also track is the amount of CTAs that we're actually running on email, on stories, in long form, on Twitter. How many CTAs are we actually running on a daily basis to the leads? Oop, I hit the eraser. To the leads, to the apps, to the calls. That's important, because if you start to track it and you're like, oh, I did one CTA a week and I did X amount, but then I did one CTA like every other day, and I did 5x, right? 5 that X amount. It obviously makes more sense to do more CTAs. And then if you make more money here, you can then take that money and then put it back into ads. Okay, and when you can run ads, then these CTAs are basically automated, going out all the time, and you have to put it into your organic presence. Hope that makes sense. I'm going on a little bit of tangent there. Anyway, there's a reason that we track everything. When I say everything, you track everything. You pay attention to the things you're supposed to pay attention to. You don't want to pay attention to things that don't matter, but you want to track everything. And in this case, CTAs are super important to track because they're a massive piece of input into this system. I'll say things that are massive pieces of input are, here, we'll go down here. The number of content and the number of CTAs. Now, the other input pieces that are like secondary, I would say are views, I would say followers, I would say leads, and I would say calls/apps. Okay? Those are the secondary pieces, but the inputs are the amount of content that you're actually posting and the amount of CTAs that you're posting inside of that content. Those are the two things that are going to determine how many followers you get and how much money that you make. And then the quality from there is the next thing. But we always want to take care of volume. Our volume should be very, very, very high so we can get good at it. And we also have a much higher chance of reaching the people that we want to reach. Now, from here, there's sales metrics. So, how many of the calls that you booked here actually showed up? How many people actually showed up? And you want to have a percent of that, right? So out of the 20, 15 showed up. So we're at 75%. Now, on the amount of people that showed up, how many people did we offer? Okay, so what's our percent? Out of, 15, we offered, let's say 10. So we'll get to, what is that, 2/3? It's like 67%. So our offer is 67%. That's a little bit low. We probably want that to be a little bit higher because that means we have 5 people on the phone. We have 33% of people on the phone that aren't qualified. That's not good. We're going to offer people that are qualified, okay? Our close percent is our offer number divided by the amount of people that actually close. Let's say we close 3 out of those 10. That's a 30% close. We like to be 50% plus at our company. I think anything above 30% is pretty good. But at our company, we're really aiming for 50. I think every month this year, we've done 60% close rate, which is pretty phenomenal. Pretty unheard of. So those are the sales metrics that you want to track. Additionally, you can track some other things. Like you can track, upfront cash collected and all other things. But this is the baseline. Now, what do we do with this baseline? We take this baseline, and then we look for gaps. So if you're coming to me, and I know I took a while to get to the answer here, the topic of the video. But if you're coming to me and you're like, man, I'm just not getting the growth that I want, or I'm just not making the money that I want, the first thing I'm going to ask is, did you track everything? Did you track your views? Did you track your followers growth? Did you track your leads? Did you track all these things? Because if you didn't track all these things, I can't spot the gaps. So the first thing is you need to track all these things, and this is why we track it. And all this stuff that I just went over, like this is the important stuff that needs to happen. This is a prerequisite to solving things. And then what we do is we find the gaps, right? So if you're getting like a ton of views and a ton of followers, but the leads, like let's say leads and apps and calls and money is just not happening. Like let's even say your close rate is like 80%, so it's high. but it's like you took 10 calls in a month. You're not going to make that much money. So we need to get the calls higher. Let's say we want to 10x this. We want to get to 100. Cool, because at 100, we're probably making at least 100K a month, if the offer is set up the right way. That means our leads and apps suck, and we're not booking enough calls. And so there's a disconnect in the relationship of the follower and you, the brand, and getting them to actually trust you enough to give you the phone number and their email and the whole thing. And so that's the gap. The gap is somewhere in here. And then we're going to go dive in, look at the numbers, figure it out, solve it. So the way you get good is through math. You track, you spot gaps, you mathematically, go through and you find, okay, here's this, and this. I can fix all these. These numbers are off. Boom. Let's go ahead. Let's go to the next step. Let's fix it. I got to put this in place, that in place, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. This is also why it's really difficult for a lot of people to do this on their own, is because you don't know what gaps, and then you don't know the solutions to the gaps, and then sometimes you're tracking wrong. You're doing the prerequisite of the entire thing wrong from the start, and then you don't even know that you have gaps, and you're just flying blind. And so a lot of the guys that come to us and say, I don't know what I'm doing with followers, I'm getting all these views, but I'm not converting, or I can't get any views, or this is happening, I'm not making money, I'm not getting leads, I'm not getting this. You just have a tiny gap somewhere that has to be fixed, and social media is 100% for you. Social media is 100% for everybody. Everybody can be successful with this if they do it for long enough and are consistent enough, and they solve these issues and close these gaps over a long enough period of time. But you have to know how to do it, and it's in these little pieces as we go. So social media is for everybody. Anybody can grow as long as you're solving the gaps, as long as you're fixing these issues. Guys, this was a long-winded video. Originally, it was about how winning personal brands make top 1% cash flow and going over cash flow systems. And honestly, that is what I covered. I went a little bit awry. I like to rant, okay? I like to rant. I like to have this relationship with you guys. Here's a reminder. My name is Nick. I'm the owner of Launch Socials. We help people build their brands the right way from day one, every day. Right? We have hundreds and hundreds of clients. We service a lot of people. We see this stuff day in and day out. If you want help one-on-one from me and the team, you can go down below. You can submit an application. Additionally, if you want more help from our free stuff, make sure to subscribe to the channel. And the first link in the description is our playbook. It's absolutely free. It's how we grew 6.5 million followers and 13.8 million sales, and how you can do it too. It details the exact system that we use for all of this stuff. I appreciate you guys being here. Make sure to subscribe, and I'll see you in the next video.